Candy Cane Lane was directed by Reginald Hudlin. He's the man behind House Party and a Disney Plus movie called Safety, which I reviewed my very first year on this channel. That was a very good movie. And this stars the one and only Eddie Murphy as a man named Chris who absolutely loves Christmas, cannot get enough of it. So much so that Chris actually enters this contest every single year, basically of who can razzle-dazzle up their front yard the most. And he's always beaten out by this snooty neighbor, so he basically goes into this haunted Christmas shop, and he makes a deal with a mischievous elf named Pepper, who casts a magic spell that brings the 12 days of Christmas to life. Now this alone sounds like a pretty neat concept, basically Jumanji in Christmas clothing. And I think director Reginald Hudlin does a good job of bringing this idea to life. I think Amazon Prime definitely has somewhat of a holiday winner on their hands, because both me and my girlfriend actually had a lot of fun watching Candy Cane Lane together. Eddie Murphy is someone I've loved for a long time, and it's good to see him act a little bit more subdued for the most part, because a lot of us know him for his loud, enthusiastic, rambunctious delivery in his comedy. But he's very soft, very welcoming, and very kind in this movie. And I just love the spirit that he brings here. Again, not just entering the decoration contest every year, but his family, literally every single name here is a pun based off of Christmas. His wife's name is Carol, for example. Just so happens to be named Carol. Who would have thunk it? And his 3 young kids are named Joy, Holly, and Nick. Nick is, by the way, played by Thaddeus Mixon, who played the young boy in Safety as well. Really cool to see him again. All these actors are really great. I don't really have an issue with the performances per se, but special shout out goes to the casting of Pentatonix as these ornaments that are basically entrapped here. They basically made a deal with our villain Pepper and they forgot to read the fine print, so they are cast as these glass ornaments for life. And they provide a lot of really fun comedy throughout this film. And we were watching it, and Lindsay immediately recognized them as Pentatonix because she absolutely loves them, especially when they cover Christmas music. Like, anytime Lindsay is blasting Christmas music, it's usually a Pentatonix cover, just because their harmonies are so freaking clean. And I'm so excited to report that their talent actually does lend a lot to Candy Cane Lane and makes it a lot more entertaining than it would have been just on the surface level. I feel like if you had this movie without Pentatonix in it, probably wouldn't have been as fun. Because yes, this is a very cookie-cutter, traditional messaged Christmas movie. Even though I do think the concept is very fun, Jumanji is a childhood favorite of mine, so seeing the 12 Days of Christmas come to life, you have 3 French hens just chasing down our heroes, and yes, that is as silly as it sounds. But I think just the fun that everybody is bringing to the table here just really elevates this movie to a higher level than it would have been, you know? Eddie Murphy brings a softer side of his acting technique to the table. You have Nick Offerman in here. It's a pretty nothing role for him, all things considered, but the moments he gets on screen are freaking great. And man, one of my new favorite SNL cast members, Chris Redd, appears in here as another ornament prisoner. He will make you laugh, that's for sure. He will make you laugh so hard. As much as you can in a comedy that's more centered around being entertainment for family. This is definitely not a rated R Christmas movie. Let me be perfectly clear on that. Chris Redd was very much on a leash here. Like I said, just with the premise alone and the concept, this is very much Jumanji wearing an ugly Christmas sweater. Heck, David Alan Grier is in this movie as Santa Claus. How much more Jumanji can you get? So yeah, a lot of people might find the derivative nature of Candy Cane Lane a little bit aggravating. That wasn't necessarily my problem because I was actually really entertained by this movie for the most part. My issues with this movie actually come a little bit more with the pacing. Because once you get that inciting incident all the way down to the end, yeah, it's very entertaining. That first act is a slog to get through, and I was just looking at these characters and I was like, am I going to care about any of these people? Because the script really doesn't write anything interesting or anything that you haven't seen before in a family movie like this, for that matter. Because again, the themes and the messages of this movie, you've seen in a million other Christmas movies in the past. You pretty much know the lesson that Eddie Murphy's character is going to be learning within the first 15 minutes of the flick, and yet they still kind of keep hammering it in. And I will admit, even though the third act is very exciting and a lot of action-packed slapstick humor thrown into the mix, which is always a nice bonus, the writing definitely is trying to find all the loopholes that it can, because it feels like once this third act gets underway, Lindsay and I were both very surprised at how easy it was for some of these protagonists. But then, ironically enough, the script was finding those little pieces of fine print that would only elongate the runtime, and for that matter, put the solution farther away than it should have been. Or better yet, it made the solution a lot more complicated than it needed to be. Because with as fun of a concept as this was, this could have been a very simple and very fun watch, and it is, definitely. I'm not knocking Candy Cane Lane at all, because both of us had a fun time watching it. I just can't shake past the fact that the writing definitely felt a bit clunky in some parts, especially as you bookend the film. But aside from that, Candy Cane Lane is not going to be the quintessential Christmas classic of this generation, of course not. But I think it's definitely serviceable, warm holiday entertainment. I'm going to give Candy Cane Lane a B-. Great to see Eddie Murphy back and show us a different side of his talent, albeit with a pretty traditional format. But let me know what you thought of Candy Cane Lane down in the comments section below, and what is your favorite Christmas movie of all time? As long as you don't say Die Hard down in the comments, I've already reviewed that on the channel, and yes, the members of Pentatonix actually do get into an argument at some point in this movie about whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And let's just say the people that said Die Hard was not a Christmas movie, bonus points to those people. But guys, joking aside, I love discussing all new things in movies and entertainment here on the regular. If you're new to the channel, we're a great community of film lovers and entertainment lovers alike, and y'all are invited to join us. So do consider subscribing and tap on that thumbs up today. That would be a huge help. And stay tuned as we wrap up a very topsy-turvy year of 2023 in entertainment. Look out for my best and worst movies of the year countdown very, very soon. Lots to look forward to as we drop the ball into 2024. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, back talk commence.